Hey everyone, and welcome back to Shades of Sasha. If you're new here, take a seat, put your crown on. Welcome to the gang. And if you're ready for the gang, you already know what time it is. What's good, baby? So today I'm gonna show you how it went from this to this. So just keep on watching.
So in today's video, we're going to start off by priming my face with this hard candy cosmetics primer, and it's because I wanted this glow from within look, which in the end it actually really did accomplish it, and I really love the way that my makeup came out. I want to actually try this primer for like a summertime look to really see how I'm gonna feel. I'm actually really nervous because as an oily girl, I don't know if it's gonna slide the hell off or if it's gonna just really hit exactly what I want it to. So I'm gonna then go in with my P. Louise eyeshadow base in the color 0, I want to say this is, and then I'm gonna use this LA Girl concealer to just outline what my brows should look like, and then I'm gonna start and go ahead and just work on my brows. Now I want to say I did speed this part up a lot faster than I did anything else, and that's because I'm still in the process of actually figuring out how exactly I like my brows. I do my brows how I feel to match the frame of what it is that's happening. Sometimes I feel like my hands, they have their minds that's just going in the direction that they want it to go, and there's absolutely nothing that I do that actually like kind of, it just comes together. Okay, it's like a trusted process and it just all comes together. So that's why I'm starting off with my brows first, but usually I really prefer to do my brows off camera instead of on, because it could take just too damn long to get it done, but the process is pretty much always the same. I either use a pencil, that's what I've been doing for a few months, rather than actually using a pomade. Now get into the eyes of this look. The first part of what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a palette, and I'm using this kind of like orangish red undertone look. I'm using the Be Perfect Carnival XL Pro palette. It is really one of them that I genuinely just love. I really love the pigment. I think it lands well. It just blends perfectly, especially with the P. Louise bases that I have. So it's in my holy grail. I stand by it. I'm sorry, I'm just not letting it go. There is one palette though that I really think I'm going to try because everybody says how great that one is, and it's called Blend Bunny. So I'm going to check that one out and see how I feel about that as well. Now, one of the tips I'm going to give, because I'm going to show you exactly the colors that I'm using in this palette. I'm using these 3 shades that's right here. However, there are points I'm going to dip into the dark purple that's above, and then if you really are feeling brave, you could do the black. This is what I want to say. The color that you're using as your base, make sure that the other color you have will work well in a transition to make sure that everything looks like it's unison. They should blend within each other. So this is the dark purple that I'm adding. I think I did at some point add like the smallest amount of black because I really wanted to really be dark and rich. But this is what I mean when I'm saying the transition color you have, which is the lighter shade, and then you're going and adding this darker color as well. That's how I am doing my eyes. I know people tend to flip and do the opposite. Makeup is what you want it to be. You can do it the way you want it to do it. It does not have to be this unison way of like how everybody is saying like, oh my gosh, this is the best way to do this thing. The only thing that should be unison is the fact that we should just all be clean with how we're using our products and what we're doing, so that you're not breaking out or doing anything that's just like damaging to your skin and yourself. So right here, I'm then starting the process of making sure that I'm cutting my crease. A tip to do this is put it on the bottom of your lash line, and then you look up, you move your eyes around a little bit, and then it kind of marks out where it should stop. As a person that has hooded eyes, this is very helpful for me because there are many times that if I just put it smaller, it's like, what's the point? You just didn't even see anything. So I've been doing cut creases on my eyes for a good while, so I tend to be able to just tell kind of like where my crease would stop and where I need to go above to make sure that my cut crease is going to show. You're going to see at one point when I'm actually shaping out my cut crease, I thought I was gonna do my look and it was gonna come more in toward my nose, and I was gonna be more on the artistic kind of like bold side, but I decided not to. I decided to stick with it being just as subtle as it is. This is what I'm talking about. I really thought I was gonna go all the way out here because I've been meaning to try a look where I do it this far, but I don't know, it just, The hands were like, no, babe, we're not doing that today. I want to do what I'm going to do. Now, after you do this part of the process, it is really important to note that I'm not necessarily using a white shade on top of the cut crease. I'm actually using a shade that's like a peachy pink with like a really, really white undertone. So it matches exactly how the blank canvas color looks. And I think when you're going for a nude color, depending on what the definition of the nude you're going in, this is kind of like the neutral tones that I wanted to work with. And this was a perfect shade. I used one palette for my entire eyes. I didn't have to like jump around and use other ones. I think when I'm doing more creative, colorful looks, I tend to have to do that. But whenever it's just a neutral tone, it's always easy to just stick to like one palette. Now, after I do this, the next step, the same brush that I use for the purple and the red undertones is the same thing that I'm gonna do. And I really suggest that you blend that outside in so that everything seems like it's just going as perfectly as possible. The one suggestion I would give when it comes to brushes, just make sure it's one that you can control and not one that's controlling you. So what I mean by that is that there are just some brushes that's going to be putting you all over the place and it's not going to blend it the way that you want it to. And then next thing you know, you just have to go back in and keep fixing it, blah, blah, blah. So I thought I was going to actually stop here with just doing this black liner look and just stop up at the top. But I was like, it's just giving, it's not giving, like it just looks dull. And so I decided to kind of do like a butterfly effect, which I ended up really, really loving. So that is exactly what I ended up doing, which is another point of why I'm saying like sometimes my hands just move to their own accord and they're just like, I want to do this and I don't want to do what your brain thinks you want to do. Now this pen is a eyeliner pencil from Ebin. I was walking in like a TJ Maxx or like a Marshalls, I can't remember exactly which store, and I went in the makeup section and I saw this and I was like, I had no clue like Ebin like had freaking like makeup. Like when the hell did this happen? And so out of curiosity I bought it and I've actually really, really fell in love with it. I think it does a really amazing job. You want to make sure that whenever you're playing with black liners, it's not something that runs, it's something that you can control, because if it bleeds, it will literally ruin the entire look that you're going for, and then you now just end up in the process of like, damn, I have to take this whole thing off and now I have to start over. So now I'm going in again with this primer from ELF. It's a dupe for the Hydro Grip primer from Milk, and I really, really love it because I'm an oily girl. And in the next video that I will be uploading for next week Sunday, there's a reason why at this point I swapped how I did the primers, because here you can tell like the glowy one kind of started to rub off. So I really suggest if you have oily skin, put the oily products like that are going to control your oils on first and then put the other layers on. I'm then going in with this orange corrector from the orange corrector is also from LA Girl, and this is because I have PCOS, so I do wax above my lip as well as my chin, and so there are times when my hair is growing out and I just have a little bit more darker hyperpigmentation than I want to, so I just make sure that I do this extra step to just cover this up. And I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, and let me tell you, there are just some drugstore products that are chef's kiss. Like, they are beautiful and they just work very well, especially for my melanated babes. And I'm going to eventually put out a video where I'm going to be talking and using the drugstore foundations and like drugstore products that I've actually loved over the years, that I think are just, they've been doing their thing and they're not leaving, and they should not leave. So when it comes to highlighting my face, I really like to use colors that kind of balance off of each other, just because it becomes a more neutral stance when it gets in my face and the product is blended. Now for this next step, what I like to do is, if I'm going to bronze or contour, I do that, but I put my highlighters on so that they can have the time it needs to actually just like seep into my skin. And I do this because the more you allow your highlighter to become tacky, the easier it is to blend out and actually gives you the full coverage it says that it has. If you just put it on and then do its thing, baby, I'm telling you, it's gonna be runny, it's gonna be feeling as if like, what the hell is going on, and you're gonna just be mad. So I'm just using the Fenty Trio Stick, I think it's the bronze shade, and then now at this point I'm using the Natasha Denona. And pretty much however I do my makeup, I always use the same kind of technique because I'm oily. Once I use liquid, I always go in and I use a powder because it's a necessity for me. I just end up feeling like a grease ball, and I really just don't like that. And now I'm going in and bronzing my face by warming everything up even more, but adding like a pop of color by using the Juvia's Place bronzing I can't remember exactly what this palette is called, but it's their bronze palette that everyone is now raving for. But your girl been on it, and it's probably one of their top 5 products that I really think is genuinely fire and I really love. Now, I'm going to switch over to using a Real Techniques brush that I actually genuinely love. I think the Real Techniques in Ulta and Target, when you see these, especially if they're on sale, please grab them because they do such an amazing job when it comes to like being a brush that's just easy to work with. Because the other brush I was using kind of threw me off and it just wasn't doing what I needed it to do. It just felt like it was trying to take the product and move it around too much. So this is also a part of why I always stress that just make the product take the time to dry down a little bit and become tacky, because then it's easier for you to just work with that. So at this point I'm just making sure I'm fixing up my contour within my brows to make sure that I'm just blending them in, and then I'm switching over to a beauty blender because it just wasn't doing exactly what I needed it to do. And I would always suggest start at the end and then move up. Okay, do not just start right in the under the bottom of your eyes because it can just create chaos. So if you start at the end of the highlighter of what you use for all of this and then go in, it's easier for you to just kind of manipulate and do what you need to do, which is what you're gonna see me do here. And then I'm gonna add the next step of just making sure that I go in with a powder again, and then I'm gonna bake. So because I know how oily I am and how much like things can just grease on me and just not turn out the way I want it to, I have just learned over the years what it is that my face likes and what it doesn't like, and there are times that it changes. And so I may do a routine today or this year, and then next year I gotta switch again because my face is just like, we're so used to this and I don't like this. Now this MAC press powder is actually, it's not even a press powder, it's a foundation that I bought, and I just happened to have bought the wrong damn shade that was a little bit lighter than me, and I really love using it for this exact specific purpose. I use it on all of my highlighted areas just to just like seep everything in, and it's absolutely amazing. Like I do have another shade that's close to my skin tone, and I think I'm probably gonna try that and blend them both together to see what it's like when I do it as a complete finish on my face. However, I just really love doing this specific step when it comes to all of the highlighted areas in my face. And then I'm going to go ahead with the Huda Beauty translucent powder, and I'm going to then bake. This is Banana Bread is the shade that I'm using, and I'm just gonna bake my face and just take the time to fix up any of the other things that I know that I need to do. So my brows, at some point when I was doing my concealer, like it just kind of like did its own thing, so that's something that I'm probably gonna go in and then fix. And I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of blend everything around it more. I don't even know what I'm doing. Sometimes I just be like in my own little world, but for the most part this is kind of like the process of what it is that I do whenever I'm doing my base. I will be dropping a look next week that I'm just focusing on my foundation and just like the process of that, so stay tuned for that if that's the part alone that you just want to see, where I'm not including any eyeshadow. And so I'm just taking the time, like I said, to brush everything off. And this is when I usually go in with the Morphe Trailblazer, and that's when I go over my face and just kind of add everything. And I'm adding some look at this brush, y'all. Look at this blush. Like, you can't tell me this blush did not make you feel like, damn, maybe I should try pink. This is the blush binder from the crayon case, and to be very honest, I really love this product. I think this is one of the best products that they have came out with. I think it's able to be utilized in so many different ways. So whenever I do my creative looks, this is what exactly I use, because it's like the body in your face is easy for you to blend those pinks and purples that they have in kind of like a more neutral, like blushy tones. So just keep that in mind, because it's not a palette that's like using like purple, not purple, like greens and blues. Like they don't have that. It's just more like, oh, it's literally just a blush binder. And I just genuinely love the product because I think it does such a good job. Now after I do kind of all of that and I spray my face, I'm just going in and doing my signature nude lip that I do. And I think I just got like a stack of cream nude lipsticks, and it was like a few years ago from like Macy's Backstage, I think. And sometimes I go in between using a brown and a black liner just to make sure everything is gonna come together well. It just really depends on the mood and how I feel, as if like things are looking and if I like it or not. And then sometimes I actually go in and add eyeshadow to like the color of the basically the color of what the liner is the eyeshadow or the tone that I use. So that's why you see me showing you here for the nude, I'm using that same MAC powder, and then for my lip I use the bronzer palette from Juvia's Place, just to make sure things are really mattifying. Like I really just love a matte look, and nobody's gonna get me away from that. But pretty much this is the final look, and then I'm gonna spray my face. And as you can tell, like I've sprayed my face a few times now with the Charlotte Tilbury spray, but to be honest, I think the product is mid, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's not worth the hype to buy it. But overall, I really love the way that this look came out, and I'm so excited to show y'all what this makeup series is about to be. But stay tuned for the one next week, and then I think you all would really love the last one of this birthday series, because I really love that one as well. And then we'll start with our colorful Sundays, where at least once a month I will be dropping a makeup look, just so that we can kind of bring makeup back to my channel.